Right guys, welcome down to live lesson. Sorry there wasn't one last week. Obviously I brought my phone. It's 5:02 now, so it's going to be 5 minutes or so, and then we are going to get started with our lesson. Okay, 5 minutes or so, and then we will get started. Let's have a look who we have down. So let's have a look. So moving those out of the way. Who we got? Good afternoon, and I see Emily, Mr. Lemon. I don't know who that is. Someone's probably changed the name. Charlie. So Mrs. Carthy in there. Hydro Pro Monkey as well. Good afternoon to you all. Like I said, we're going to get started in 3 minutes or so. Oh, good afternoon, Sophie. Good afternoon. Nice to see you, Jake. Seb, good to see you as well, matey. Good to see. What time is it? 2 minutes or so, guys. We'll get the lesson started. Good to see you, Emily. Hi, Miss Allison as well. Oops. All right, it's 59. See, now we'll get started. Oh, Mrs. Rice is there as well. Good afternoon, Mrs. Rice. Just like in my own video, because that's the type of person I am. Right. Give them a few more seconds and we'll get started. Try and get my seat set up. Right, it's 2 o'clock, so we're going to get started. If you hear me banging around, it's just because I had the wrong chair and my back was hurting. And my leg's collapsing. There we go, all good. Right, okay, so welcome along to this art lesson. I haven't done one for a couple of weeks, because obviously, like an update, I broke my phone, so couldn't do one last week, but got a new phone, so here we go. So, today in our lesson, remember as always in the chat, keep it friendly. Teachers are in there, making sure no one's spamming or anything like that. Just keep on just listening to what we're doing. Catch up with your friends and stuff if you want to, but I know in these art lessons a lot of people are concentrating quite a bit with what we're doing. So, this is what we're doing. Today, we are going to be creating this sort of seasonal art project thing that I have found online. Now, today, I'm going to be doing it with some white paper, plain white paper. We'll need a pencil. We'll need some tape. Okay. We'll need some colouring pencils and a black pen. Okay, I did put them up on the tweet and everything to let you know what we need. I put it in the description of the video as well. Those are things we're using. Now, today I'm using white paper with black card and like pastels to do the colours rather than colouring pencils. The reason I'm using paper and coloured pencils is I know that everyone or most people have coloured pencils and paper at home, whereas black paper card some of you might have, and the pastels or the chalk or whatever it is that you wanted to use on there, you wouldn't, not as many people would have. So I thought I'd do it this way, but this would look a lot better on those, but we will see as we go on. It'll stand out a lot more. So we'll put that up there so we can see it, and we get started. Now the first thing is, the reason we have the gaffer tape is we are going to mark out the area. You can see where we have no crowd. We're going to mark that out with tape so that we don't, and we get this cool effect on there, so we don't draw anything on there. Okay, so I am going to just don't have to be perfect, get it roughly the size of the paper, and I'm going to rip it off. I'm just going to get my paper on its own first. I don't need to be leaning on any others. If you don't have the stuff, remember you can watch the video back. Okay, and if you want to join in the art lessons, if you follow my Twitter or my Instagram, stuff like that, Mr. Biggins123 for Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I'll always put up there what you need well before the lesson. I put it out, I think, on the weekend. Okay, so I'm putting that tape on the bottom, and I'm using the bottom line. Okay, so my tape's there on the bottom line, and I'm using that bottom line, so when I use the top one for my next piece, the distances will be the same. Now I can see I just did my paper, tape roughly, so I've got a little bit to the side. What I'm going to do is just fold that over and stick it to itself, not to the paper, because that'll be a bit of a nightmare, but I'm just going to stick it to itself, so when I'm moving my paper and things, it is not going to get stuck on the table or anything like that. Okay, so I've got my first piece of tape across there. Now I'm going to do my top tape again. Use the paper to measure roughly how much I need. And again, I maybe made that a little bit short, but it should be okay. Line up with the top line of my piece of paper to make sure it's straight, and stick that down. I just come up a little bit. We should be fine. We should be fine. Yours, I'm sure, will probably be straighter than mine. Mine might be a little bit wrong. So I've got the two on the side. Now I'm going to go down the two sides of the piece of paper. Remember, with your tape, it's always better maybe to have a little bit longer. And again, I'm going to use the side of the piece of paper to straighten that up. And again, to make sure it's going to be the same length on both sides. Got a bit more tape, so I'm going to fold it over, tape it to itself, not the paper, but tape it to itself. Give me something to sort of grab onto when I'm getting the paper off, the masking tape off as well. And then obviously we're going to do this side as well. Hello, Snowberry Cupcake. Don't know who you are, but hello. Nice to see you. I'm going to use that line, probably see the top of my head, and my ridiculous lockdown haircut. Then fold this over. Okay, fold over the bottom. And now, lastly, I've got the four corners, so I just need to do these lines I've got here on there. Okay, so the first one, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to measure it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you did want to measure it out, you obviously could. But I've got a piece of tape. That's the length of my paper. And I'm going to roughly put this in the middle. So I'm going to look, and I'm going to say that is round about the middle, and stick that down. Okay. See, I'm not patting too hard. I'm just pushing it down enough to stick to the paper. That'll be important later on. Okay, so now I've got that down the middle, so I've halved it. And now what I can do is I can use those boxes to quarter it. So what I'm going to do is this next piece of tape, which is about the length of the paper, I'm going to do about half. I'm going to half this box here. Okay, so I'm going to look. I'm going to say right half it. Again, if you want it to be perfect, you can measure it. Gotta bring that off. But you really don't have to. Okay, you really don't have to have it perfectly. I think it's pretty much easy enough because we're halving them to sort of eyeball it, as we call it. And my last piece of tape. And I'm going to do the same with this box. I'm going to half this box. Okay, I'm looking at the sides to make sure I'm trying to get that a bit straight. Rolling these pieces over again, so that's the table. And there I have my paper ready to do. I'm finished with my tape there now, okay? So I put my 4 pieces of masking tape around the corner to create our border, as you can see it, okay? Then I put 1 piece of tape down the middle so I could half the white bit in the middle. And then I halved each side with another piece of tape. So I now have my 4 different sections, as you can see, that I will have when I finish my piece as well. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to start colouring it. So again, if you're using black paper or black card, or you might even think it might look good on a different colour, so you might be using that. It would be exactly the same so far. You would just be putting the tape on, but you'd be putting it on the black card rather than the white paper, okay? Now we're going to move on to colouring it in. Now again, I said I'm going to use colouring pencils because I know more people have colouring pencils at home than they do the pastels, chalks and things like that, which look really good on black paper if you do them, and you can really get this blending effect looking a lot nicer than you can, I feel, with pencils. I mean, this looks really good, but with chalks and pastels you can get a really good effect, so that's why I think that one will be better. So if you are using them in the video, again, you would just be doing a similar thing as we are, but you would be doing it with your pastels. Okay, and if you wanted to have tips on blending pastels or anything like that, I haven't got a video myself, but there's lots online that you could have a look at. Now we have the tree here, and my tree is a bit bare. I'm going to mention something at the end that I think you can add on. I think that you can make it a lot better with. But you can see what I'm trying to do is represent the 4 different seasons, okay? So here we have spring, where the grass is coming through, the plants are starting to grow, and it's getting greener, okay? Then we have our summer, so we have our yellow and oranges for our sky, when it's nice and sunny. Then we have our reddy, browny colours to represent our autumn when all the leaves are coming off the tree. And then we have our light blue to dark blue sort of colours there. That's representing our winter, okay? It's important that so if you wanted to, you could do this effect with different colours, but it's really cool to have those because it shows us the different seasons. And again, something I want to tell you about that you can do with this picture afterwards. It's cool to have the different seasons because you can do different things with them, and I'm going to talk about that once we've finished. So now we get straight into the colouring. Okay, so don't worry about the tree or anything there first. What we're going to do is, I'm going to try and open my pencil. Look at this. This is a nightmare. This isn't my doing. Why isn't this colour coordinated? I will have to talk to my fiance. That is a punishable offence. Right. Okay, so we're going to start over here. And I'm going to start on this box. And this box is going to be my green. And I'm going to do the same as I always do when I'm doing my shading. Okay. Just got a couple of there. We're going to go have our darker green at the top and our lighter green at the bottom. So now I've got my tape, I don't have to worry about going over. Okay, I can colour on the tape as much as I want, but I'm quite light here, not really putting much pressure on, just going backwards and forwards. Okay, maintaining the same, okay, not trying to make it any darker or anything at the minute. Then I'm maybe starting to put a bit more pressure on now. Okay. And now as I get to here, the last sort of, I'm really putting pressure on. Now I'm not leaning on paper at the minute, so I'm getting the the bottom, sorry, what I'm leaning on, are coming up. So now, just going to really keep going over that top part. Okay, and you can see on there, it's really hard for you to see when I'm far away, but when we get closer, you can see I have got a lighter green at the bottom, but I haven't finished. I'm going to keep going. So, keep going over this top part, making this the darker one, making sure I'm getting everything. Then underneath, go back down again, a little bit harder. Sorry, less hard than we were at the top. But there. Then we come to the bottom, and I'm keep going over and over, but I'm not applying much pressure. Okay, we're keeping it light. And again, with you, on your shading, you can decide how light or how dark you want it. I keep going over the bottom quite a few times because I think it's really nice to be able to obviously see the green, and the fact that we've got the tape and it makes it into a square really makes it stick out. Okay, and this top part, make sure this top part really does. And what a good part with your top part is, if you make sure your pencil, I've got two pencils there, can you see I'm going darker there? It's because I'm using the sharp point of my pencil. So originally, oh, I'm down here, you can't see that at all. So down here, I had my pencil like that, and I was using this flat side. Okay, I was using this flat side here in order to get the shading in. And now I'm using the very point of the pencil to get a lot of colour and to make it really dark at the top now. Okay, now making sure I'm putting that on top of the other shading I was doing, because if I just do the point, you'll really be able to see it as a pencil and it won't look very blended at all. So at the minute, if I take that closer, you can see I've sort of got the three different sections. It's not blended there really at the minute. So now I'm going to start blending them, okay? So first, good old use the thumb. I'm just going to go up and down. Getting a bit of I'm a bit green fingered. Great jokes. That's what you come along for, isn't it? And I'm just rubbing, putting pressure on, trying to make it less like pencils, current pencils. It's not making much of a difference. If you've got pastels, this is where you'll really be seeing the difference in effect there from you. But now I can see here, I'm just trying to make that so it blends. So I'm going back over where we have our darker section meeting our lighter section, and just sort of try and make it so it's not a sudden stop where it's suddenly a darker colour. Okay. And then the same here, just try and slowly take it off. Give a bit more colour actually down here. It's wore off a bit when I've been rubbing it with my thumb. Okay. And again, this lesson, remember, I'm always going to be going a little bit quicker than I would normally. But that's because we're on the video and I don't want the video lasting ages and ages and ages and ages. Okay. So I'm quite happy with that. I think I'm going to leave it like that for now. Blend that a little bit. Okay, happy with that. And I'm just going to use that. Okay, so I've got my green section. Okay, and you can see when I get closer, it looks greener than it does because of the lights that I've got on it. I've got really bright white lights. Okay, so it's greener than it actually looks when it's down on there. Now I'm going to go on to my summer. So what I'm going to do is, for my summer, I'm going to start with my yellow. Okay, and I'm going to be doing the same, starting at the bottom. Now with my yellow, I do start a little bit harder than I do with the green because it's a lighter colour. So I want us to be able to see it. Okay. And what I am going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of orange at the top, which means I can afford to go darker at the bottom here and go a lot darker because it's the orange that's going to add that fade in at the top. So I'm just focusing on getting that shading in, trying to make it look so it's not pencil lines. And shading again, if it's something that you're thinking, oh, I'm not very good at, it's practice, practice, practice. As I always say in art lessons, people expect to be able, for some reason, to do art projects and to copy great art ideas perfect straight away. And it's just like anything else, you've just got to practice. So the more and more and more that you practice, with shading techniques, those type of things, the better you will get. Okay. Just going up and down. I'm keep here because I'm going quite thick all the way down. I'm going from that, remember when I said the pencil I had sort of a flat side because I'd been shading on it, and then the point of the pencil, going between those, because with these lighter colours it's easier to see the pencil strokes and you need to work harder to blend them in. Now because I'm doing this fast, it makes it even harder to sharpen my pencil a little bit there. And then going back over, now a bit sharper. Filling it in, and the more times you go over, the more it's going to blend. Just be careful when you are going back over all your different layers and things. Just be sure, make sure that you're not making it all the same. Like if my green was all the same all the way down there, completely lose that blending effect. Just going to try and, those pencil marks up there. I'm going to try with this yellow. And again, I'm using these colours because it's the different... Hello, Sophia. I like your username. Snowberry Cupcake. Very good name. Again, I'm doing these colours because they're the colours of the seasons. Or I'm using these colours to try and represent the seasons. Okay. Now I'm happy with my base colour there. I'm happy with my base colour of yellow. So I'm going to make the top a bit darker now. Put a lot more pressure on. Start to lose that pressure as I get further down. And create that sort of a little bit of a blend with the yellow. Got that sort of blend. That's what I mean. Yeah, sorry, I was saying that I'm using the colours of the different seasons there. I'm using my colours to try and represent the seasons. But you could do them any colour you wanted to. Okay, and you might want to be represent the seasons. You could be doing day and night. You could have all the same colour. And you can use this effect for lots of different things. So now I've got my orange. What I'm going to do is, we're going to have orange at the top, and it's going to be a little bit, so I'm being really light with this. And just adding it in. And I'm getting lighter as I'm applying it. The more it goes down, some more at the top. Starting to get lighter as we go further down. And I might go all the way down with the orange. I might try and fade it out by about here. So I'm starting to get really light here. Okay. And again, this would be absolutely perfect. And I think I'm going to do one myself with pastels, okay? Because when I'm rubbing it now with my thumb, I'm not really blending as much. I'm not really losing my pencil lines as much as I would like to. It's creating a really good effect. But if I was to do this with pastels, it would be really blending, and I'd be making a brilliant sort of sky colour there. So there we have our summer one done. And again, if I go closer, you can see there is yellow at the bottom, it's not white. I might add a little bit in more now that we've got more orange in. I can sort of match it up to there. And I'm happy with that one. Okay. Right, next one we are going to do is our sort of autumn one. Now, didn't do brown because brown is a colour and those autumnal colours that we think of, because of the leaves and things like that. But we don't really have. I don't know. I didn't want to have such a dark and not a nice colour, so I thought if I do red, sort of sky, and I'm doing a very light at the minute because I'm going to go over with orange as well, and then I'm getting really dark at the top here, and start to fade out. Bit less pressure on my pencil, bit less sort of some lines going over, then go back to that one. Okay, and we've got that fade up to the red there. I'm going to go back over carefully at the bottom here. Just because we've got pencil lines, but I'm not trying to make this any sort of darker. I think I started a bit too dark at the bottom, and you can see that. What I'm going to do now is going to get my orange, and I'm going over with my orange as well. And I'm applying loads of pressure here. Just go backwards and forwards, not using the point of my pencil. And I am going to go pretty much all the way up onto my darker section, so I'm applying more section, literally all the way to the top. Getting back down. You can see the orange a lot more on this lighter colour, which is what we are wanting, the lighter sort of red that we haven't been doing, because the red isn't as strong as in the dark colour. We can't see it as much here because red's a darker colour, so that's going to take precedent over the top. But where we've been lighter, if we apply a bit more pressure with our orange, we'll be able to see coming through, and it gives us more than just red. With the orange, it does give us a little bit more of an autumnal feel, an autumn sort of feel. Okay. And I'm making sure I'm getting into the corners there where the tape is. Sometimes when you're going backwards and forwards, your pencil miss, but when you take the tape off, you'll have a little bit of a gap. So make sure you don't miss there. You can have the little white line at the side because your pencil's not going to get in there, but the corners, make sure they are sort of actual corners there that we can see. Again, might see if I can smudge this a bit, blend it a bit more with my thumb, putting a lot of pressure in there. And again, with the pastels, with the chalks on black paper, get much more of a blend effect on there. Okay. And we're going to go on to our last square. I'm just going to test my two blues to see which one I want to use. Much of a muchness, we use that one. Okay. And again, this one, we're only using one colour again, like the green. So we just got to be careful that we're light at the bottom, not too much. Okay, and then we're going to be darker and put more pressure on the top there. Top little bit there, a lot more pressure. Might use the point of the pencil there, really get that blue out. Now I'm going to start. Less pressure, not using my point as much. Still quite a bit, so still dark. Fading it out. Just as I'm going down, trying to lose that pressure a little bit. So the sky is starting to get a sort of lighter blue as we are going down. There we go. And again, it's getting that balance between having a lighter blue, but at the bottom, you don't want to be too light or else you'll not be able to see the sort of the rectangular effect that we're creating. So you have to be careful. that will be in light, but it's enough to be able to sort of see what we are doing. And again, I'm going to blend this in a little bit more because it looks like a sudden stop. So I'm just going to go up and down here. I don't want that sudden stop. We don't just have that sudden change in colour when we have skies. So it's a blend, gradually happens in those two colours. And lastly, just use my finger to get a little bit of the smudge going. It doesn't have a great effect when I'm using my finger there, okay, but it does improve it a little bit. Might just, all those little improvements will help build up the picture together. Right, so there we have our 4 sort of boxes with the colours like we have above. And we blended, used our blending skills, our coloured pencils to create them. So all we need to think about now is the tree. Now I'm going to go over, and obviously it's the 4 seasons. Tree is a great one to use because the trees obviously change over the different seasons. And again, at the end, I'm going to say something that you could do. But you could put anything you wanted to. You could have different little pictures in each one if you wanted. The silhouette where we have all the black looks really good. So you could have people on a swing. You could have separate trees in each one maybe. Okay. But what I've got is got one tree that's sort of going across all of them. Okay. It shows you that this is like the 4 seasons in the same area because we've got the same tree there and we're just being able to see them all together. Okay. So first start off with, we just need a pencil, okay, and I'm using a sharp one, and we're going to outline our tree. Now, best way to do it when you're doing this tree is to just draw on the tree over the tape as if you were drawing the full tree. Don't stop at the tape and then draw the other end, because you'll see exactly where your branches and things should be going. So if you're going to copy along with me, obviously you might want to stop and pause and keep going. We're going to be going over the top in black, so be careful, but we are going over the top in black. So don't worry about it too much. We're going to start our tree in this red one here. We'll start about here. I'm going to push quite hard and I'm going to build up the trunk. I think I'm going to zoom in a bit more for you guys. Okay. So you can see. Oh, not that much though. Bit closer. Okay, so we are just, and I'm going to try and do this as dark as I can. You won't obviously be doing that. And we're going up here, and I'm just coming in and out a little bit as I'm going up with my trunk, because obviously we don't have perfectly straight trees going up and down, so it makes it look a little bit more real if we add a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of a sort of crackle. Now on this one you can see I'm a little bit further away from this one than the tape, and we're going to think that middle wing is the main part of the trunk, but we need to see it either side, so you don't want it really thick, okay? We want to try and be close, but we want to be able to see a bit of the trunk as well. And I'm going to go to, let's keep going, just about maybe over halfway, okay? So I'm going to just about over halfway, and then my first branch is going to sort of come down here, okay? And what might be good is think of, right, I'm going to end up around about here, have your eyes on that again, not completely straight, and I'm going to draw over the tape, okay? I'm going to go over that again so you can see it, not perfectly straight. I'm going to draw over there, and then it's sort of coming out there and breaking into our different branches. So again, it's tree, it's nature, it's not perfect, so don't worry if you're thinking of something and it looks a little bit different. And you can do your branches in different ways to mine, okay? What we have got to remember though, I'm going to rub that out. What we have got to remember is what happens with branches is they will start thinner, and that's why I've rubbed that bit out, at the very tip, and the closer that they get to the trunk, they will start to get bigger. Okay, so I'm going to see it's coming in sort of here-ish. Okay, and you can see on my picture what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this broke into two. So we've got a little one sort of coming off there. Little one coming off there. And then it would sort of join up there. Don't worry too much about what's on the tape. As long as it looks roughly okay, obviously that's going to come off. So I'm going to go over that one a little bit harder now, make it a bit darker so you can see. Again, I'm not having to be perfect because I'm going to go over with my black pen, black felt tip in a minute. So I'm going over these again. You don't have to. Yours can be light as long as you can see them. For the video, I'm obviously going over, which means got a little bit of a blur. So we got those sort of ones down there. Now I'm going to sort of go background here as if there's another. Remember to silhouette, so these, which means like a shadow. So these trunks might be all coming out of different places and stuff, but because we can only see the silhouette, the shadow, we can just see the parts here where they're sort of joining. So I'm going to do another branch coming off here. Just got a branch down there. And again, you can take your time with this. I'm going quite a bit quick. Again, for the length of the video, you can pause yours. You can try and copy the sort of formation that I'm going. You can sort of do similar to mine, but change it a little bit if you want to. You can do completely different silhouette of a tree if you want. If you want to do that as well, you might want to have a look online. There's a lot of different, if you type in tree silhouette, you could maybe use those for a basis of one, or whatever you sort of want. And I'm going to have this one going off a little bit. Just going to leave it there. And remember, we normally tend to have more branches coming off them the further down that we get to the branch, okay? And I'm going to start to get thicker as I get closer to the trunk of the tree. I'll go out of these again roughly so you can see them. So again, the rough going over for me is just for you to be able to see them. And then we'll have, as we come back into here, another one sort of break off. I'm not too bothered about how it looks on the line, but if we see it come there. And again, if you're planning on making it look like something, then you come and it looks a bit different to what you expected. Remember, it's nature and it is just random. So that's absolutely fine. Sorry, I might go a bit quiet every now and again. I'm just concentrating. Okay, so we've got this sort of design there now. I'm just going to try and frame that properly on the camera. All right. Now, you might not think you're happy with certain things. So I'm here and I'm thinking, oh, well, I want that to sort of bend and sort of have a curve into that one. So I can add that on now. I know that's going to be under the black pen, so that's absolutely fine with that one. So you can change it and sort of stuff as you go. I'll leave that there a second or so. And if you're wanting to pause or look or whatever for how the branches are, you can do it that way, any way you want. Okay, I see a little bit of a gap here. I might add an extra sort of branch, little thin one coming off there. Okay. Now let's continue in this red one. So I'm working there. I finished sort of what I'm going to do in my blue box. That's what I'm sort of doing. I'm moving over this direction. So I'm going to finish my red box now. So sort of the middle of the tree. So sort of have this going up there. And that one might end off the sort of on the tip. Getting bigger as we come back. Just remember that sort of attitude of having your twigs, the sticks, the branches to be getting going from thin to thicker as we get closer to the branch of the tree. Okay, what I'm going to take a little bit, make that a little bit more of a curve. Okay, and this one as well. And this would curve up, and I'll probably have one coming out there. So let's say it will come out on here. Tell I'm concentrating, can't you? Because I've went as quite as you guys are concentrating in the chat there. Come back around. You might even, if you do yours, you might want to do a different style of tree. You might want to have a lot. You might find sort of some cool Japanese blossom trees and bonsai trees, sort of where the way that their branches and everything like that come off is completely different. And they look cool as well. And I'm going to have another branch here, break off, go up there, maybe come there, might cross over there, so I can go over, because remember, if there was branches in front or behind each other with a silhouette, you would just sort of see the blackness of the shadow coming through, and that one is going to be my one that's going to fill this sort of area. So as I'm doing my branches, what I'm trying to do is think, right, I don't want big spaces of area. I don't want hardly any of the tree on this one. So I'm trying to think of spacing them out. So that's why I'm sort of working from this way and fanning around, okay, in order to sort of have that effect. So we're going up here. Fill this part of the box there. I don't like that coming in. That's better. And once you like sort of done things, you think, oh, I want a little branch coming off there or anything like that, just add them on. And again, don't worry, as long as it's inside of the tree, it's going to be sorry, it's going to be concentrating again. It's going to be covered by the black pen, so it won't sort of come out and you won't be able to see it. Go along there. That branch would be coming in here. Maybe have a branch coming off there because that's quite a straight one. Probably finish there-ish or something. So have that coming in and going down to our main one. And then have a bottom branch. Now I've got my bottom branch coming off here. It's probably my last one. I'm going to try and break it into two so I can fill a bit of the area there. Now again, if your branches are different, it all works on how you've done your branches. See what I'm doing here. And I'm going to go up to here till about the same point as it curves on the other side. I'll bring the trunk of my tree down and curve it into the ground at the bottom. Okay, again, trying to get a similar curve, not a straight line up here. Okay, the difference. So we've got our yellow section done there now. I'll try and get that on camera. Ooh. There we go, it's a bit better. And now you can see it. So you're going to pause the video, copy those sort of how the branches move. That's up to you. But obviously, it'll be a lot cooler if you're doing your own branches, because then we'll have lots of different ones. Maybe a couple of branches coming off here. Looks a bit like Hansel's ones. Then do my branch sort of at the bottom here. Do one part of it coming up here and doing that way. And then a bit coming off here maybe. And again, I think that's a bit thick at the bottom. So the parts I think where it's not going to look great, so where it isn't looking great, is where I think I went on the end of a branch. I went to thick because we need to go from thin to thick. And I'm pretty much happy with that tree there. I'm going to go over these little bits a little bit more so they show up on the camera better for you. And again, if you're still doing the branches and everything, that's absolutely fine. Take your time. I go a bit quicker when I'm on these videos. Okay, like you say, when you normally see these types of videos on YouTube, this part's normally where fast forwards 100 miles an hour. I think it's good to be able to see the sort of time and patience that goes into making it, even if I'm going a little bit faster. And we have our sort of green section there of the tree. Now what I might do is, I did use the rubber a couple of times. So I'm going to get my pencils where I use the ruler and making sure we're all faded in. Doesn't matter if I go over the top of that pencil, that's fine. I'm just making sure I haven't got any white gaps where I had to use the rubber because I made a little bit of a mistake. So once you got your outline of the tree, I'm sure you can guess what you are going to do now. You get your black pen. Hello to Whitley Bear. Who's that? Sprite Cranberry. Well, hello. Just up the road. Okay, you got your black pen. Might be a ballpoint pen, might be a fine liner, a Sharpie, a felt tip. Okay, felt tip Sharpies pens, that's one's going to have the best effect on here. And again, if you'd use the black card and the charcoal and you're drawing on a pencil the same, your pen's going to work there as well. What I would say is, if you have used the chalks and used black paper and you are doing this bit, be careful when you are leaning on, because your chalk is going to smudge and stuff more than the pencil is when you're using it. So firstly, just going to go around the outline that we've already done. I'm just going to take my time now, because this is obviously final. Okay. Just going to go around the lines, trying to follow. Doesn't matter if it's not perfectly followed. But as long as it's roughly the shape that you're wanting, that's fine. And what I always find is great on these type of points is, if there was a little bit where you're looking at it now and you're thinking, oh, I don't like that, that's a bit too thick, or that looks a bit too straight, it doesn't look like it's sort of natural in nature because it looks too uniform. Okay, you can add in extra little bits now with your pen. And it's great to use the lines that you've got as that guideline of sort of, oh, that looks really good, so I'm going to try and copy it as close as possible. But then having those ones where you think, oh, that's a little bit off, so what I'm going to do is go a bit to the left of that line, go a little bit to the right of that line. Those type of things you can sort of do. Now, what I have to be careful at is, just like that bit there, I do have some very thin branches, and my pen is quite a thick nib. So on those, I might just have to go down once, add a little bit of a wiggle in with my pen to add that sort of branch effect rather then having obviously the two different sides as well. And again, you can see if you look at my paper underneath, I've got paper underneath here, so I'm not getting felt tip on Mum or Dad's new table, or Mum or Dad's new dining room table, or whatever it is. Not even new one, old one. Okay. Making sure I'm not getting into trouble. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can continue the black sort of felt tip over the tape, but I just sort of go in, make sure I get all the way up to it, so I go on a little bit, and then obviously end it. But if you want to, you might want to be take a photo sort of what the tree looked like before you had the tape removed. But that's your prerogative. Now that one there, I think looks a little bit lonely, so we're going to have another little one coming off. Again, if you are adding stuff on, I just added a little bit there. You might want to think, oh, I'll add that, add it with pencil first, because it's obviously less permanent. So I've got my blue and red sections done in the black pen there. Okay. And we're moving on to our yellowy summer section. And doing the outline. Going around. And the reason I do all the outline first is before I'm starting to obviously colour it all in, I like to know at the minute I'm focusing, I'm paying attention. Sometimes I think, all right, I've done the blue, I'm going to colour that bit in. You get a bit more slapdash when you're doing colouring in. Now when you go back, you're not focused, you're not concentrating as much. So I like to do all the outline first, and then I can focus on doing the colouring in the middle. Okay, I'm nearly finished there, just finishing off a couple of the last branches on the green spring sort of. I missed a little one out there that I'm going to have to rub out, because when I was looking at it I wasn't too keen on how it sort of looked. Right, now when I look there, I would think, am I happy with it? I'm just going to bring this curve down a little bit and maybe bring the tree trunk out by a little bit. Okay, I want to do that. I'll cut that bit out, and I'll shade that in back green in a little bit. And then now, yeah, you've guessed it. You've got your tree, you've got your outline. We are just going to colour in the shape. Taking my time, although I'm not doing the outline, which needs a bit more focus. Okay, I don't want it to look like there's sort of loads of strokes and things like that, pen strokes in there. So I'm taking my time, and we'll just keep going, see, until the whole thing is coloured in. Now, earlier on when I first started, I mentioned how I don't like this because there's cool ones. Like now, if you look at mine, the finished one there, okay, it looks a little bit bare. Now, what you can do, and I didn't want to do it because a lot of times what I do is I do some art, and some people think of their own ideas and stuff, but quite a lot of people copy it verbatim to practice, which is brilliant, which means they copy it exactly as how I've done it to sort of try and mimic what I've done. and they produce some great pieces of art. But I wanted is some original pieces. So you can see that we have the tree in 4 different sort of seasons. Okay. Now, the tree would look different in different seasons, and this is where you can start to get creative. You can add things to this tree in order to make it match the different seasons and look different in each one. So what I was thinking about is how can you make this one look more wintry? I was thinking you could use Tip-X pen if you had it and add sort of white dots to add the snow on. We know we wouldn't have any leaves, okay? So you could do that. You could add those in. I was thinking obviously here in spring and summer, we're likely to have leaves on the tree. So you might want to use paint on top to add leaves on to go around so you can really see a difference. You might not. That's up to you. Spring as well, you might want to add a little bit of colour into the leaves and stuff as well, as if there's little flowers in there or anything like that. Think about autumn, the leaves will be falling off the tree. So the same way when we've got using a Tip-X pen to do white and add sort of snow falling on this one. On this one, you could make little leaves falling from the tree, okay? Maybe put 1 or 2 brown, ready leaves on the actual tree and do some falling down, maybe a pile here. And again, how are you going to do that? I would advise not to do it with pencil, that's your background. What are you going to do to make it stick out? Are you going to add paint to do those? Okay, are you going to do it maybe in coloured felt tips on top of it to make it really pop out? Because the reason this tree really pops out at the minute is because it is the really strong black felt tip on top of the pencil. Okay, so the felt tip really sticks out. So maybe use felt tips to add, you could add some leaves in or anything like that. Some of you might just want to leave it how it is, but I want to leave it to your imagination. And firstly, I knew in the lesson time, I wouldn't have enough time to get on to adding the different seasons and things like that into the tree. And secondly, again, I wanted you, obviously, to come up with some ideas of your own. Now, I've just come up with a couple of ideas there that I thought, but I can guarantee, as always, there will be some other people watching this video that'll have much better ideas than I'm having and be able to really spruce this up and change it. And again, if you did do this sort of style using the masking tape and things like that, you don't have to do a tree. You could do something else, and you could do the different boxes representing different weathers and use the colour to change the colour of the sky or the colour of what's happening then, and add paint and effects and things like that to show the changing weather in the different photos and stuff like that. Again, completely up to you, but so many different ways you could use this style to create lots of different things. So again, today, whenever you have finished this, so obviously if you're doing the lesson live, but if you're doing the lesson on replay, which I know a lot of people do look back, no matter when it is, still love to see the art that you're creating from these lessons. So you can send it to me on my Twitter, which is Mr. Biggins123, my Facebook, which is Mr. Biggins123, or you can send it to my Instagram, which, would you guess, is Mr. Biggins123, okay? And what ideally I want to see is how you've made this your own. If you want to send me a copy of, you've done exactly how I've done it, brilliant, I would love to see that. But what I'd love to see even more is how you've made it your own, how you made this look really wintry, how you made this look really autumnal or really summery. Or even how you've used this effect to create another type of picture where it's sort of broke into 4. Okay, you might not even have a silhouette. You might use just this tape style to create, I don't know, someone's face broken into 4 different parts, or I don't know. Art, the options are always endless. Now, my black Sharpie is really running out now, so it's not going to look amazing. Get the best I can. I need to get a new one. I use my Sharpies too much. It's run out too quickly. They are great, aren't they? Get this finished. Okay. So, and there we go. I painted all the different sections of my tree. Okay. You can see the two different ones. You can see my trees are both slightly different. Okay. It doesn't have to be the perfect same every time. That's what you do. Now, what I want you to do is, if you've done this on card, brilliant, your tape will come off really, really easy. But still, be careful when you take your tape off. So I'm going to start taking my tape off now. I'm going to take it slowly. If you just rip it off, you are likely to rip your paper. Okay, I can see a little bit of paper coming off there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the other side. So if you see the paper start to rip, go to the other part of the paper. Now this is a really tricky bit. If we're on card, we're okay, but it can start to rip the paper. You can see it's starting to rip mine. Okay, and you just got to take it slowly. Okay, to get that last bit off. Okay. Again, I've got a big rip there. I think I've pushed that down a little bit too hard, but we're okay. Okay. So again, I'm just going to take it really slowly. The slower I take it, holding the other part of the paper down. Okay. Really taking my time. If I rip it off too quickly, I am going to have a lot of the surface of the paper to come off. We saw that last one I've just done. I did it very quickly. Well, quicker to show you how it's the speed that you do it. It's going to help you avoid any rips. Halfway there. Oh, stick that a little bit to the back of the page. Now this is the bit where you're really careful on, because this is the heartbreaking bit. If you've done all the work to get it working. Now early on, you know when I said don't tape it to the back, Speak hasn't listened and he's done that exact thing. He's taped it to the back. And now we're off. Okay, again, super slow-mo. And if you do see the paper surface coming off a little bit or anything, don't panic. Just continue to take it really, really slowly. And again, if you do this on card, you won't have this issue. And about where you really want to take your time. Yeah, and you don't want to definitely don't want to rush. Oh, we'll take this end off. I'm going to go a bit slower so I might get some rips, but I'm looking at the time. How long's the lesson been on? About an hour. So I'm going a bit faster. Okay, ignore the speed I'm going at. I'm going to get some rips on my paper, but so we can see what it looks like at the end. Okay, not major rips, one little rip there. That's because I'm doing it too. And again, rough. Oh, already. Speed is causing issues. I'm going to have to slow down a little bit. Do. And you're going to pull the tip sort of away from those corners. Now again, in order to go fast, I'm really causing some rips in my piece here. Should have went a bit slower. Being conscious of time has made me affect my artwork, eh? Okay, that one was rough. Okay, very rough. But we're getting that. Again, not listening to my own tips. I don't get stuck to the back of the piece of paper. What have I done? Got stuck to the back of the piece of paper. There we go. This bottom bit, stick a little bit to the paper. Oh. Get this on my knee to get it up properly. And just my last two. Again, any art that you've created, please, please, please send through. Let's have a look. See how good it is. We're also going to do, oh, and there we go. We've got our art. Okay, just like got a little rip there. Again, don't take it fast at all. And we've got our two there now that we can now add other things on, do those type of things with. As well, I'd love to see if you copied that style. Love to see it if you use black card and chalks and pastels. Like to see it if you do this and that add stuff on, and also if you use this technique to create some other pictures, I would really, really love to see them. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming along the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you produced a great piece of art. Well, till next time, I will see you all later.